Alright, welcome back. Welcome if this is your first time here. So today we're going to go ahead and see about renting some ships, or a ship and a rock, and use that to make money. So as you can see here, the Cutlass rents for about $42,000 at the shipping, or the cargo locations. If you go to the mining location, you can usually rent it too, but it's more. It's usually about 50 grand. So you definitely want to rent it from a cargo location. So since we started out with a starter package of a cutter, we don't actually have a ship big enough to haul a rock. So we're going to rent the Cutlass Black here, and then we'll have to go to a mining location and actually pick up the rock. Well, rent the rock. And then we'll have to go to a mining outpost to actually pick it up. Eventually, when they get persistent and personalized hangars in the game, we'll be able to just load them right there. But until then, we got to do it the old way. So much like any other time when you get a new ship, basically we go in here, we'll have to get it delivered. You can see on the left hand side where it says rented, it has the time left. Deliver it here. And then we'll call it out.
Your vehicle has been
For this, we're actually over in the Crusader area. Because if you're going to mine, rock mine, or prospector mine, that's probably the best place to do it for new players. Daymar for rock mining and Selland for prospectors. For those that don't know, this is the Cutlass Black. It's pretty much a one-size-fits-all kind of utility ship. It comes with 46 SCU of cargo space, a couple of gun racks, and it basically has crew complement of 1 to 3. So if you want your turret manned, you'll need a second person for that, and there's actually a co-pilot seat as well. Other than that, it's a little better armed usually than the starter ships. Probably even do low-level bounties with it if you needed to. And theoretically, you could actually haul a prospector load too, like once it's refined in a Cutlass. But you're probably better off to actually save up and get a Taurus rented to actually deliver a number of orders at once. So in this case, we're going to go to Ambitious Dream Station at Crew 01. That's where we're going to base out of for the rock. Well, that's where we're going to pick up the rock. We're still going to base out of Seraphim because unlike war, gems can actually be sold at the admin office commodity terminal at pretty much any station or any planet-based. So we actually have 3 different types of gens that you can mine with the rock. You have Hadnite, Aphorite, and Dolomite. They're smaller deposits. We'll actually, once we pick up the rock, we'll get into how to do those. Now, typically, assuming you don't lose the rock or lose the Cutlass, basically you don't have to do this but once. Where you actually have to go rent it. Rent it for a day. I think they have 1-day rental, 3-day rental, and I think they have a month-long rental. So obviously, when you're first starting out, I would just rent it for a day.
Please visit again.
Because you may try it and decide you don't even like it. Same thing with prospector mining. You can rent a prospector for about $73,000. But if you've never done it, you don't know that you like it until you try it. So renting it is a perfect way to try, and it's a good way to make money. Unfortunately, at this time for salvage, they don't actually have a vulture that you can rent. You can only buy them, so. However, you can do FPS salvage, but you're not going to make a lot off of it for the time frame. It's going to take a lot longer to do. So much like any other time, we're coming in here. Come in here till we get closer, and then we'll switch over to SCM.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
And before we go in the hangar, we'll actually put our landing gear down just to slow us down.
Landing gear down.
Good habit to get into is repairing and rearming, refueling as soon as you hit the ground. You never know when the game's going to glitch and you won't be able to refuel or rearm. So go ahead and do it every time you land. The one exception to this will be if you're hauling Quantanium on a prospector or mole. You probably want to go ahead and get the ship stored as fast as possible. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and store the Cutlass for now.
To the ROC vehicle retrieval
See, in
system.
here we've got the ability to store it, claim the cutter,
Please visit us again.
deliver the other ship. So that's going to change depending on what station you're at and what ships you have there. We're going to head down to the refinery. So far we've got a little over 40,000 wrapped up and running the Cutlass. It's about usually I think 2,000 to 3,000 rock per day. If you do try an elevator, it doesn't work, just try a different elevator. Alright, then we're going to go into the support center, otherwise known as the refinery store. Down at the end here is where the terminals are to rent. Go ahead and rent the ROC for $25.98 a day. So you see the drop down there where you can actually do multiple days or months. Alright, so call it about 45,000 we've got wrapped up in it right now. We need to make at least that much, make our money back, and then anything over that is bonus. But head back to the hangar now. Like I said before, unfortunately you cannot load the ROC in the Cutlass here currently until 3.23.2 comes out. So we'll need to head down to a mining outpost. Daymar, you're looking for SCD-1, I believe it is. That's where we'll go to pull the ROC out. Put it up.
Welcome. Please visit us again. Goodbye. Welcome to the ROC vehicle retrieval system. Vehicle select. Your vehicle has been. Please visit us again.
If you ever forget where you're at, Hangar wise, just look around for that little carrot. I'll actually tell you what hangar you're in. And you can also go back to the ASOP terminal and check it. Again, you're going to use U to turn the ship on, and then I to turn the engines on. See, we're obstructed right now while we're in the station. So always never hurts to check and see. So, okay, we're obstructed for Crusader 2, so we'll have to go out of the hangar first. Said there's always a workaround if you run into little things like that. A lot of times just think about it for a second to see what's causing it.
You are clear to launch.
Again, we're going to basically take off. We're going to clear the hangar before we put our landing gear up. That'll help us maintain a low speed. Don't run into anything or hit anything. Get comfortable flying, and then you can do it pretty much however you feel comfortable. Beginning, the name of the game is learning to handle your ship and taking off and landing properly.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Go to Crusader. Let's see if we can go to Daymar. There we go. So Daymar is one of the more temperate moons. I believe you can actually breathe on it. Don't put that to the test. I don't remember for sure. It's more like a desert planet than a moon, actually. All right, I went ahead and bypassed the Crusader interval. You'll find on a lot of these videos I cut out the jump, sometimes the elevator rides, because they can get lengthy sometimes. We're going to go to SCD1, use that location to actually load the rock. See, we got a, see there's a space in that name, which means that's an NPC. Go ahead and get out of here. Could probably take him in this, but you never know. He didn't seem like he was actually coming after me, so it's probably just one of their random spawn points. If you get too close to them, they will. I think usually within about 5K, 5 to 7K, and I think they'll still come after you regardless of whether that's their spawn point or not. There we go. We were honestly too low in the atmosphere to go there from earlier, so we had to get away from it.
Quantum drive is now off.
Basically, same thing as approaching a station. When you're going to one of these mining facilities or outposts. Basically, cruise in on nav until you get to about 5K. Start slowing down with SCM until you land. Looking for here is there's usually a building that has two pads next to it. That's what we're going to call a ground vehicle. You can also call certain small ships the C8X or C8R. I believe the 100i can be called from it as well. a lot of your jumpless ships can actually be called there too, like the racing ships and so forth. I think the Razor can be called there as well, even though it can jump. There's the pads right there. Pull up near there, shortest distance as possible, so we can actually get the rock on. Don't worry about that, as long as you should be fine.
Landing gear down.
If you hang over a pad for too long, whether it's on a station or on the ground, it's going to give you that. Usually find it's best to go to third person view when you're landing like this. That way you can make sure you avoid hitting anything or landing on a rock or something. Alright, same security as always. We're on the ground. Get out of your ship. Close it back up. Make sure the engines are off. That way somebody can't jack your ship. Go over here to this building. There's two buildings with that little antenna looking thing on it. One is the trade building, the admin office, however you want to look at it. And the other one is usually the where you summon the vehicles. In this particular case, for rock.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
See the Pisces rescued there as well. We're going to go ahead and get the rock, deliver it, much like you do at the station with ships. And then you'll have to retrieve it.
Your vehicle has been delivered to the
PB01 is going to be the closest pad to the building. PB02 is the other one. You can actually return ground vehicles here. Basically the same way. You call for a landing. And then you drive it up on. And then you can actually go back inside the store. In this particular case, we're just going to leave it since the Cutlass and the Rock are both rented. We're just going to always keep it in the Cutlass.
Systems activating. Systems on.
Again, just like ships, hit U to turn the vehicle on. Depending on the vehicle, you may or may not have to hit I. You can usually tell there's like a little hum. When I pick these up at the stations, I usually like to back them in. That way I can just drive right out. But as I get to doing some rock mining and stuff, I might just pull straight in. It doesn't matter. Just like the ship, to get out of the seat, you gotta hit Y. Hold it. Got a little lag here. Just gonna rush over here and open the door and then get back in, so I'm not gonna worry about closing it up yet. Theoretically, if somebody really wanted to, they could steal it, but just go ahead and claim it. It's like less than a minute claim. Alright, again, easiest way to back this in is going to be get a third person view. Rotate your camera around so that you're in front of it looking back. Just remember that steering wise, you're going to be backwards. You want to back it in far enough that you can get by the tires once you get out. Close the ship up, get in the pilot seat, and take off. We're going to fly back up, go to an OM, and drop in from up above. If you have that issue where the camera just kind of like seems to drift off up or to the left or right or whatever, just hold that for a second and it'll center view you again.
Landing gear up.
Obviously, there's a red dot nearby. It's probably another NPC. The fact that they're not actually zipping over to us is pretty much a telltale sign of that. Alright, now I went ahead and skipped all the up above thing. We're just going to drop straight in now. So basically, to drop in on the planet, we're going to get up to full speed. Oh, I guess we'll kind of bypass that here. But basically what you'll do is you'll get up to speed, you'll come down, you'll hit C to decouple, and you'll keep going until you start seeing the altimeter count down. And then usually when you get to about 10K, you'll hit C to re-engage coupled mode. And then you can switch over to SDM, and then basically you just rotate your ship so you're parallel to the ground, and then just up thrust to prevent falling. You'll see here we're finding a lot of rocks. The trick to mining with a rock, we don't want rocks, we want gems. So anytime you see a bunch of them like that together, that's going to be rocks. We can't do that with a rock. We want gem deposits, which are usually pretty clustered together, but you can only see them from about 3 to 4K out usually. Usually you come across them as you're finding these other ones. So they don't show up until later. Mineable rocks will actually show up at about probably 10, 12K. That's promising. Just popped up for you. You'll notice when we get down below 1 and we're pinging and it's still not going away, that means that's probably a gem deposit. Basically, you just follow the icons until you get there. You'll see they're a lot different looking because they're real small, all clustered together. And you need to usually be below 1K altitude. Usually you want to be probably 500 meters up or less to be able to find them. That's a nice little patch we got there. Unfortunately, scanning's not really working properly to be able to tell what they are, at least for me. Right now there's a bug with aphrite where you have to basically have it in separate stacks of 1. So I try to avoid aphrite right now if I can help it. Stick with hadonite as much as possible, with dolomite if I have to. Hadonite is the most valuable. If you actually fly up to the rocks and look at them, you can usually tell the difference. Hadonite usually have like pink or light purple streaks in them. Aphrite has like violet tending towards like blue, and dolomite has green streaks through it. So this looks like it's going to be hadonite, which is exactly what we want. A full rock load of hadonite, you're probably looking at somewhere between about 250 and 300K. Unless we get really lucky, we're probably not going to be out here long enough, since this is a new player introduction video. This is how to do it more than how much money can I make right off the bat. So we're going to go ahead and open up the ship. I didn't get the tires close enough when I pulled this in. I actually had some little run-ins here and there, so that's why you see guns on the floor and the rocks in a different configuration. We had some issues with the previous recording, so I had to go back and redo it.
Systems activating. Systems on.
Alright, so in this case, we know these rocks should be right behind us. There they are. So I usually try to center myself on them, more or less, where I can reach all the rocks with the laser. I usually start typically from one side or the other. Sometimes I'll start in the center. Just depends. Eventually, I'll usually work my way around to one side and then keep coming across. So you hit M to bring up mining mode. And then depending on what you've got your configuration set to for your keybinds, you'll actually adjust the laser up or down. I believe it's currently shift and the middle mouse wheel. I actually have mine set to my joystick, so I don't have to worry about using two hands to do it. Basically, at night, as the tougher the three to crack, the higher the percentage, the higher your laser is going to be. So usually when I'm climbing up into the green, I'll go up into about the 70 to 80% range on the laser intensity. And then I'll drop back after I'm in the green about midway. You drop down to about at 35 degree. See if that hidden hold is steady. Make micro adjustments from there. As you can see now we're in the green. Charge window's filling. Once it actually completes, it'll actually turn off the laser. Obviously, if you get too close, it can cause damage. See all the little rocks sitting on the ground with a little mining element. And you can do this however you want. You can either break a bunch of rocks and then collect, or you can just break a rock and collect. In order to go to extraction mode, you'll use the right mouse button, and I'll switch it to extraction mode. You can then to pick up the gems. I'm gonna probably go ahead and break a couple here first. That way we just have a nice little pile to pick up. One other thing to mention is right now with rock mining, it's kind of jacked up a little bit. So once you're done collecting everything over here, you'll see that there's all kinds of gems behind you too. Obviously not the same quantity, but they'll be there. You can pick them up if you want, or just theoretically it shouldn't make a huge difference. You can still, if you want to get every penny out of it, you can. Usually with any kind of mining, you're looking at return for your time. You want to make as much as you can as fast as you can so you can do more stuff. The extraction process that picks up the gems will actually pick up bunches at a time. So the more of them you have there, the more likely it is that you'll pick them up quicker or all together. Go ahead and break a few rocks and then pick up. Yeah, the same process as the last two. We'll run the laser up till 70 or 80%, get into the green, back it off. If you go up into the red, it will overcharge the rock. And if it doesn't come down before it breaks, it will explode, typically causing damage to the rock, and the gems will be gone. Avoid that as much as possible. That's why I say generally try not to go over halfway in the And then depending on how many rocks are in the cluster, it's pretty much rinse and repeat until you're done. Just for the sake of it being a mining intro for the rock, I'm going to go ahead and break all of them. Normally if I was making a video, I'd probably just be like, alright, you've seen how it's done, we're just going to keep going. But for this sake, you want to see the whole process. Last one here, and then we'll pick some of them up, and then we'll move over to the other cluster left there. I don't necessarily want to switch to extraction after every rock, just because you could be running over the same areas over after each rock, whereas we just wait and do a cluster or group them at a time and then pick up. Also, the nice thing about the rock is while you're using the mining laser, you can actually use your keys to steer it, pull forward. For driving the rock, you're going to use WASD typically. You can set it up with a joystick as well. But since I'm usually not doing a lot, I just leave it. I just use the keyboard and mouse. The laser itself, you will actually control after you hit M. You'll be able to move it around with your mouse. Left trigger will actually turn it on. Right switches between fracture and extraction. As you can see, basically you just get it close. Usually pick up. Hold it in one spot for a little while and it'll pick up everything within range gradually. With a rented rock, other than Aphorite being bugged right now, I'd pick up whatever you find. You can still make money. Like I did a load earlier, Aphorite was when I realized it was bugged. And even with about 400 pieces of Aphorite, I still made about 60 grand. That same 400 to 500 on Hadnite will be over 100,000. That's definitely the more profitable way. Keep in mind, if you do Aphorite right now, you're going to have to separate the stack into a bunch of singles before you can sell it. It's going to be very time consuming. Your inventory, just right click and get one. Since we're already in extraction, we'll go ahead and pick up everything we can with it right now. Start breaking some. And even though we started out crew 1 with the rock, renting it, we're going to go ahead and take it to Seraphim when we're done and we'll sell there.
Extraction mode on. Fracturing mode on.
You can actually look up at the top there and see that it's in fracture mode. Sometimes that can, if you're talking, it can be off or lagging. Again, same process. Run the laser up to 70 or 80, maybe even 90 or 100, depending on how dense the Hadnite is. And then once you get up to the green, back off. Just maintain it. Much like any other kind of mining, there's a proximity and optimal range as well. If you look at the bar on the left, curve bar, you'll see it has a green zone and a red zone. That green zone, there's a little line there that actually says optimal next to it. You want to be within that and the red zone. Rock mining is not as big a deal. You usually all kind of stay towards the latter half of the optimal zone. The end of it, and further away because your rock can't take damage from the rocks. Damage. And the rock is, you're exposed to the environment of the rock. So the reason we picked Daymar is because there's other places that are better. However, you need a special suit, a piece of armor to mine on. For instance, right now, favorite for rock mining is Aberdeen, but you need a suit that can handle high heat. Looking at probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 grand for it. It's just an additional expense we don't need right now. The other thing is, when you're actually going to an OM, what you're looking for is daylight, that you can actually mine in the daytime. Picking up is easy at night, but actually driving your rock around can be a real pain. And again, much like we did earlier, we'll do a few rocks, pick up, and do a few more pick up. as we're waiting for these to break, if you look on the right hand side of the scan results, you'll see the mass, the resistance, the instability, whether it's easy or not, and you'll see composition below that. Now ROC only holds 0.8 SCU, so even though the composition says 25.26, like SCU. Yeah. So you can't really go by that with rocks, with gems. You basically just look up on the left and it'll actually tell you how full you are. Obviously, if you fill up on a batch, you can back up into the Cutlass, and you can actually unload it into the Cutlass and then go back to picking up more. Used to be a while ago the gems didn't stack and you couldn't move them as easily. You'd have to literally move them one at a time. So they've made real strides with that now with the move all button and the fact that the gems actually stack now. Of course, there was all kinds of issues with 30Ks and everything else. So it's a lot more stable now. But general rule of thumb still is if you don't want to lose something, make sure you either have it on you or put it in the inventory on your ship itself. So in the case of the ROC, you want to actually put it in the actual Cutlass, transfer it over to protect it. It also lets you stay out and collect more. You can actually sell gems at the mining outpost, like where we picked it up at SCD-1. You could actually take it back there and sell it. Or you could even take and go to the stations. We're just going to go to the actual Seraphim station to sell ours. If I was actually planning on staying out here like all day with this rental, then I would probably just go back and forth to SCD-1. Do myself some traveling. Alright, back to fracturing these last ones. We'll load up and get out of here. Again, depending on how you want to do it, you can actually do the ROC mining for, what, 45K roughly? Of rentals. And make enough money to eventually rent a prospector, or you can keep doing ROC mining if you find you enjoy it. Same thing with the previous video with FPS, bunkers. If you like doing the bunkers and you prefer that over doing this, then you can do that to make money. The nice thing about the bunkers is it gradually gets higher rewards. So once you get up to about tier 3 rep with them for bunkers, which are location dependent. So Crusader, you're going to have Crusader rep. Microtech, you're going to have Microtech rep, and so forth. So you want to basically stick to doing bunkers in one area until you max it out. But you can get up to the point where at like level 6 or something, I think you're making like 90 grand a bunker, but you have like multiple tiers of bad guys, so they'll come out in waves. Up until tier 3, you'll actually get just like 8 to 10 guys, something like that. I think it maxes at like 12 or something. It's been a while since I really got into bunkers too much. I threw it in here in the beginners, in the new player section, because I know some people will want to know about it. And it's a valid way to make money, because you really don't require much in the way of a ship or anything to do it. Currently, mining and salvage are the way to make money. The cargo loop is not really in yet. Although you can make money, you need a large ship to do it. When I say large ship, you're talking like a Taurus or higher to even make it worthwhile. I guess theoretically you could do some low end. But just for example, with a cutter, 4 SCU a space, you're only going to make maybe a few thousand, if that, and that's on one of the best mining or cargo routes. Compared to probably the 100,000 plus credits we'll make off of just this one cluster. right now, the only money sink Starset has, since it's in development, is buying ships. So basically, at this point, it's make money, buy ships. Eventually, they'll have some other sinks in there. You'll have to maintain a homestead or any number of other things. Right now, the key is making enough money to buy the ships you want. If you're happy with just running around with a Cutlass Black and a ROC, I think you can buy the ROC for about 100 grand. I think the Cuddy is right around 2 million, maybe 2.1, 2.2, something like that. In which case you can just rock mine all day if that's what you want to do. Prospector, you're looking at a little over 2 million something. Outfitting and everything, I'd say probably have closer to about 300,000 credits, or 3 million rather. Although you could do it cheaper, but you're still looking at 2.5 million roughly. If you just want to make money, then saving up and buying the Vulture might be a better option for you, because you basically get your money immediately after selling, no refining involved. An RMC scraping right now is paying about 16,000 in SCU. Fortunately, there's no rental for it, so you have to do something else to make the money until you get to it, or buy it in the store. And you can literally get everything in this game with just a starter ship and building up money and buying it. Other than the new ships that come out that they usually have to wait a patch or two for them to be able to play the game. But if you really wanted to, you could actually do rock mining or prospector mining or bunkers or whatever else till you got to, I think it's 2.1 or 2.2 million, and then you could buy a Vulture, and you could take that with no upgrades and you'll start making money. A full Vulture will hold technically, per the spec sheet, it has 12 SCU cargo grid, 13 SCU buffer. So technically, per that, it'll hold, what, 25 SCU of scrap, RMC, or construction materials. However, you can actually fit about 23 to 25 SCU in the cargo bay, and then still have 13 in there. You're just not using the cargo grid. So when that works out to roughly about, I think, 400,000 or 500,000 credits, reach the full load. All right, so now that we got all of this broke, we'll go ahead and pick it all up. See, we'll pick it up in big chunks, big batches, and it goes back and forth. Get all of this picked up and then we'll get out of here. Obviously, if I was starting out, I would probably stay on here until I've got at least a couple 100,000 minimum worth of gems. Actually, I'd probably keep going until I had a couple SCU of gems and then go sell. But for the sake of a training video, we'll do one trip here. If you get one that's being stubborn like that, just kind of hold it over there for a little bit, and eventually you'll pull it. There's no real rhyme or reason. Basically, anything that laser is over could end up getting picked up. mine, you'll see, so see some below me there? Right there. Process, when it breaks the rocks, really does throw these gems everywhere. See, that's good for that area. Here and there. Turn around. I'm having some issue with the wheels turning here. If you do run into a problem with the rock, or like the wheels stop turning or something like that, just get out of it and get back in. That'll fix it. You can actually, if you do get into rock mining a lot, you probably want to carry a salvage tool with you. Get some build salvage cartridges as well, because you can actually repair components.
Extraction mode on. Mining mode
See,
on.
got gems everywhere. Not in the clusters like they were when you break it, but you do end up all over. And you can literally be out here another 20 minutes to a half an hour just picking them all up. I'm going to deem that it's not really worth it to me. So I might try to pick up like a few here and there, and if I do find a cluster, I'll grab it. But I think we're just going to go ahead and get ready to load back up here. Again, if you have issues like that, just go ahead and back up a little bit. And then come at it straight on. Alright, go ahead and pull all the way up in. Make sure you leave enough room to get out. I think if I remember correctly, you still have to have space in front of it. I think it actually extends beyond where the mining laser is, so you want to back up a little bit and just leave yourself a little bit. And that should still give you plenty of room to walk around the sides towards the back and so forth too. And if you're backing in, make sure you leave enough room that you can actually get to the back of it to actually pull the gems out. They are, as you can see, there's the open storage right there. Opens up the inventory, go to the vehicle, drag and drop it. And now they're safely in the Cutlass. Doing a lot of these various loops will actually help with your flying.
Engines online.
So obviously, if you're doing all this stuff, you're practicing over and over and over again. Some people might be asking about bounties and so forth like that. Until you actually get to the point where you can fly pretty decent, I don't know that I would bother with bounties. Especially with master modes nowadays. I don't have a problem with master modes like some do. I think it's good for the game, but it does take some getting used to, and obviously you want to get hit as little as possible. In a starter ship like a cutter, you're probably not going to accomplish much. Rental Cutlass Black, I guess you can do bounties in. If you have an Avenger Titan, you can probably do them in that as well. We'll probably do a video on that at some point, just like a basics of how the combat works. But I won't go too in depth on it because that's not really my thing. Alright, skip that quantum jump. So here we're coming back into Seraphim now. When it's got you going into a hangar that's past another one, kind of approach it from the side. Just in case somebody's coming up out of the other hangar, because they can run straight into you. A lot of times people will just go straight up and not think about it. And they'll come up with enough impact to blow you and them up. And you can actually do it the way I'm doing it here. You can even go into third person and land.
Gear down.
It's all about preference. since we don't have anything volatile on here, go ahead and land, turn the engines off,
Landing.
and then repair and refuel.
Pleasant stay.
Engines offline.
Local jumps like that, you're not going to go through a lot of hydrogen if you're out there mining for a while. Also keep in mind that eventually you'll probably have to refuel the rock as well, which will include going to a mining outpost and putting it on the pad and refueling it. Same process as there. Get in the rock, drive it up onto the pad, hit F1, go to the landing tab, just click on whatever you need to refuel and repair. Alright. So now, in order to sell, we've actually put the gems in the station now in local inventory. Go ahead and we're going to go up here and store our ship. And then from there, we'll go up to the admin
Welcome
center.
to the ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
On stations like this, the admin center is where you'll actually do your trading. Despite the fact that it has cargo, you don't actually do anything there. Other than buy stuff or rent ships. Hopefully at some point they'll get a full loop in where you actually do stuff in the cargo center. At Seraphim, you'll come out of the elevator, go up these stairs, and you'll see the yellow. That's going to be universal on all the stations. It's yellow. Now they have these terminals out in front, so we'll pick the Drake Cutlass Black. Well, we'll actually pick the local, sorry. And we'll sell. You can see here, 117,000. If you hit F1, see how much you have. And again, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to let me know. Leave a message below. And thank you for watching.